Today we're discussing another Stu Macher theory. I'm Pamela, welcome back to my channel. Before we get into it, please don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my future posts. And please also go follow me over on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Let's get into it. So in case you're new here, I am a Stu believer. I fully believe Stu Macher is still alive and will return in Scream 7. I also think he's leading a cult of ghost faces. I've done a ton of videos on this in the past. I will link them down below for you if you want to check them out. So today I want to talk about how I think Stu Macher is the one who attacked Gale in Scream 6. I have talked about this in my 50 Stu clues video, but there are a lot of clues for this scene alone. So I wanted to make this its own video because it can kind of get lost in a longer video like 50 Stu clues. So today we're just talking about Gale's attack in Scream 6. So obviously we know that Quinn takes credit for this attack, but I believe this was really Stu. First off, Ghostface is wearing Stu's mask. And I know at the end Quinn says, "I have Stu Macher's mask, he's my favorite." But that doesn't mean that Stu couldn't be using his own mask in the middle of the movie. And I do just want to say it's interesting that Quinn says Stu is her favorite and Quinn fakes her death during the movie. And of course, I believe that Stu faked his death. So she probably learned it from her favorite Ghostface. So I actually want to start off with some of the biggest clues in this scene. Ghostface, during Gale's attack scene, uses Stu Macher's signature move of 2 hands above the head. We know that this is Stu's signature move because he's used it in 3 different scenes that I can think of in the original movie. Scenes where we know that it's Stu. First one is during Sydney's first attack scene. At her house, after school, Ghostface raises 2 hands above the head. And we know this is Stu because as he's chasing Sydney up the stairs, he says, "Easy, easy." And the very next day at school, we can hear Stu say, "Easy," when Tatum hits him in the forehead with a lollipop.
Easy.
The next time we see Stu's signature move is in the final act up in the bedroom when Billy gets attacked. Obviously this is Stu. And then the next time is when Ghostface is about to attack Randy on the couch. He does the signature move again. And Ghostface does this in Gale's attack scene. Billy's signature move was 1 arm raised above and also strangulation. He strangles Casey, he strangles Sydney, and I really don't think that Stu's signature move has been used in any other Scream sequel. I could be wrong, so please correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, but I really can't think of any other scene besides the original. So this is a huge clue. I do think that these new movies, Scream 5 and 6, are setting up Stu's return for Scream 7. So the fact that this signature move was chosen for Scream 6 says a lot. The next big clue for Gale's attack scene is the Woodsboro area code. The number that calls Gale during this scene has a 707 area code, which is confirmed to be a Woodsboro area code. We see this in Scream 5. Amber's phone number and Wes Hicks' phone number both have 707. This is another huge clue. We know that in Scream 6, the Bailey family is using Richie's phone, but Richie is not from Woodsboro. He's from Modesto, where the area code is 209. And the directors have confirmed that the Bailey family is from the Midwest, so this couldn't be their number either. If you're not a Stu believer, I would love for you to explain down in the comments who could have called Gale with the Woodsboro area code. That's a huge piece of evidence right there. Another clue I find really interesting, Ghostface says on the phone to Gale, Amber and Richie carved Dewey up like a Christmas goose.
Carved him up like a Christmas goose.
And in the original movie, Stu says, "Look at this place, it's like Christmas."
Can you look at this place? It's like Christmas.
That's like a subtle clue that I could see Guy Busick sneaking in there. He's one of the writers for Scream 5 and Scream 6, and he's a huge Stu guy. He believes he's alive, he wants to bring him back. So I could see him throwing that in there. Now let's talk about Brooks, Gale's boyfriend. How was Quinn able to overpower him? He's clearly in good shape. Ghostface even emphasizes that Brooks has muscles.
Sorry about your boyfriend. All those muscles didn't help much.
Brooks gets tossed through the glass. His dead weight gets tossed like it's nothing. I'm sorry, but I just cannot see Quinn doing this. And Stu does have that line in the first movie. It takes a man to do something like that.
The fact is, it takes a man to do something like that.
Quinn does not strike me as someone who can toss the dead weight of a grown, muscly man like it's nothing. I also feel like Brooks was a little unnecessary in that scene. He kind of served no purpose. He barely had any lines. I feel like he was put in there intentionally to make us question this scene. Because Dewey's death in Scream 5 is already questionable, which I'm not going to get into in this video, but notice how both questionable scenes are legacy characters. Characters that Stu has a history with. I think these writers and creators want us to question this. And that's why they put in that line about Brooks' muscles. And just the way Ghostface runs and jumps off the couch. Like, sure, that's Quinn. And Gale hits Ghostface with a cast iron skillet right in the face, like a really hard hit. And at the end of the movie, Quinn has 0 bruising, no swelling, no signs of damage at all. Yet she was whacked with a cast iron skillet. And I do think that this conversation on the phone between Ghostface and Gale is pretty interesting. How did Ghostface know that him and Gale have never spoken on the phone?
Strange that you and I have never spoken on the phone.
And Gale asks, why bother with me at all? And Ghostface says, call it nostalgia.
Call it nostalgia.
Obviously, if this is Stu, that would make sense because he's nostalgic for 1996. And the fact that Ghostface asks about Sydney a lot is interesting to me. Stu did always have a thing for Sid. It's just, why would Quinn care about Sydney? She's not even in this movie. They care about Sam. Another clue that I find interesting is Gale calls this Ghostface a dipshit.
It never works out for the dipshit in the mask.
And in the original movie, Gale calls Stu a dipshit.
Stumbles on you two dipshits.
And Billy also calls Stu a dipshit.
Find you, dipshit! Get up!
At no other point in the franchise has this word been used than to name call Stu. I think this could be another clever clue snuck in by Guy Busick. And the fact that Gale points a gun at this Ghostface, just like she did with Stu. And she even says, how's that for nostalgia? Because it's a callback to Stu.
How's that for nostalgia?
I think that Gale survived this attack so that she can face off with Stu again in Scream 7, just like she did in the first one. Dewey didn't face off with Stu in the first one, so in a way that's why he didn't need to survive. Not saying that that's why they chose to kill him, but Gale needs to face off with Stu again for it to come full circle. And I think these new characters like Chad surviving crazy injuries is to make it more believable for the audience that Stu could survive his wounds. I mean, Tara in Scream 5's opening survives, Chad in Scream 5 survives, Chad in Scream 6 survives. In the final act of Scream 6, Sam and Tara get stabbed, Tara gets shot in the arm, and they kind of just walk off like it's nothing. Mindy after Annika dies is fine. Mindy after the subway scene is fine. I mean, it's crazy. So when people say that there's no way that Stu survived what happened to him, in my mind, that's nothing. That was like, what, 4 stabs and a TV to the head? That's nothing compared to what some of these characters survive. So I do think that there are a lot of clues in Gale's attack scene in Scream 6, but the biggest ones in my opinion are Stu's signature move and the Woodsboro area code. But I want to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. What are your thoughts on all of this? Are you a Stu believer? If you're not a Stu believer, did this convince you? And do you want Stu to return in Scream 7? Please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future theories like this one. And please also go follow me over on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll be right back.